Thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. I am at the park along the river, and it is Labor Day weekend. It is the end of the summer. It's the way everybody looks at it. In Mississippi, summer still goes on for a few weeks, but in some places in the country, they have cooler weather from this point on, and they have to put their shorts away, but not in Mississippi. Aren't we lucky? We've had an election this last week. Now, we did visit with the Spray Park, and this was the last weekend to be there. So if you didn't get to make it to the Spray Park, you'll have to wait till next season when it warms up again. The Spray Park at the BNA is called Beasley Water Park. It is named after Tommy Lee Beasley. Now, Mr. Beasley was the first African-American alderman to be elected to the city of New Albany, and during that time, he wanted to bring a spray park or a swimming pool to the area. So when the park was open, they named it after Mr. Beasley. On June 2015, this plaque was placed in his honor. Now, the Flywheel Festival in Houston is coming up the last weekend of this month, and they'll have arts and crafts and music. More to come on that later. And the last week of this month is also the Tallahatchie River Fest here in New Albany. We have Thompson Square coming to town. We can't wait to talk with them. We also have a little lady called Natalie Stover. Some of you may have seen her on The Voice. She was on Team Blake. And she plays the violin or the fiddle. I guess it depends on what genre of music you're in. But she is a fabulous talent, and we're awful glad to have her here. Now, as you can see, we've got children playing in the background, and they're having a great time. We hope that you have gotten out and enjoyed this holiday weekend. Did you know we have ballroom dancing here in New Albany? They're calling it the Northeast Chapter. It's Chapter 6125. And they're hoping that people from New Albany, Pontotoc, Ripley, Walnut, they have folks that come from Tupelo and Oxford to come and dance. The next dance is, and it's an ice cream social. It's going to be so much fun. And every Monday night at 6:30, they have free ballroom dancing lessons. Now, you can just come to the community center, and that's where they have them every Monday night at 6:30. Also, that's where the dance is. And thank you for joining us here today on Hill Country Happenings News Minutes. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, Instagram, and then you can go to our Facebook page and like our page. We always do different posts during there. And you can go to YouTube and subscribe. That way you don't miss any of our original programs. Now, you can watch this program on Max South 99.1 out of New Albany. Or if you have Roku, you can go to PEG TV and look for the state of Mississippi and watch us under there. We can watch Roku all over the United States. Or you can go to our website at www.hillcountrynetwork.net. Yes, we are .net. And you can watch us anywhere in the world. You can take us with you. You can watch us on your mobile devices. It's a fun way to stay connected to New Albany and North Mississippi because we are the North Mississippi Channel. We want your news. If you have sporting events and you want to send us in some scores, please do that at hch@hillcountrynetwork.net. Or if you want to send us your different events going on in your towns, please let us know. We have all kinds of festivals coming up, and you'll see us there, so be sure and give us a wave. Please stay tuned for the rest of the show, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
We're having a car show for Dustin Pratt, my cousin. He was 25 years old, got diagnosed with cancer. It's a rare, fast, soft tissue eating cancer. We're just doing a big car show for him to raise money to go back and forth to Jackson, maybe some medical bills for him. Other than that, that's all we're doing up here, having fun and looking at cars.
How long are y'all going to be here today?
Till 6 or until everybody leaves.
Cool. Is anybody coming to do music?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No music, no nothing like that. We just come to gather and be friends and talk.
Cool. All right. Is there a place where people can donate?
Yes, ma'am. Here up front, wherever anybody wants to donate, just find somebody standing around. That's either up front Where you come in for spectator, you can donate there, or where all the raffle is over here, you can donate over here as well.
Okay, after today, is there a place?
After today, no ma'am, but anybody wants to donate is more welcome to contact me. They can pretty much text me. I won't say call me. If I don't know your number, I'm not going to answer it. I get a bunch of spam calls with local numbers now, but you can text me at 662-316-0963. And you can donate, and everything will go straight to Dustin Pratt.
All right. Tell me your name.
Brandon Armstrong.
And he tells me that everything is grand, and he says that a home will be mine, and now I'm feeling mighty fine. Well, I'm feeling mighty fine. I got heaven on my mind. Don't you know I want to go where the milk and honey flow. There's a line.
I'm with you, my love. The light shining through on you. So I'm with you, my love. The morning and just me too. I'll stay with you, darling, now. Stay with you till my seeds are all dried up. I've been waiting so long.
I'm standing here with Mr. Delbert Hoseman, and we're going to be talking to him for just a few moments about why he's here in New Albany. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm glad to be back in New Albany. We come a lot here. You got a great school. We visited your school here, visited with your principal before. Like your area. It's growing. It's positive. It's what Mississippi's supposed to be like.
You're here tonight for the meeting.
We are. Vote Republican. It says it right there. Yeah, we've got an election tomorrow, and I thought we'd come up to North Mississippi. We visited in Tupelo, and I wanted to come over here. New Albany's a great town. You got your trails going. You know, you've got a great downtown area that you've rejuvenated and whatnot. We were down there, and so it's really a neat place. So we want to get everybody out to vote tomorrow, and then after that, it's game on till November.
Game on to November. If you were to speak to someone on one-on-one, what would you tell them that the reason why is the most important to vote?
Well, the first thing is you're electing the people who are going to run your state. The Republicans are electing a governor candidate and an attorney general candidate. The Democrats have, I think, 5 or 6 Senate seats and 6 House seats they're electing. So the people who are going to determine how much taxes you pay, what your education system is, all of the things that legislatures do are going to be decided. And I want people to understand that, you know, you can't wait till the general election because your person may not be there. So you need to go vote now. I just looked at the absentee ballots. We're only going to have probably 27,000 absentee ballots, which is low. And so I expect when we get there, we may not even have 300,000 people vote. So you're voting for about probably 5 other people when you go cast a ballot. So, and then the other thing, I was with Congressman Trent Kelly and Mac Huddleston today, both one Vietnam War veteran and one Afghanistan War veteran. And if you don't care even about yourself, we have thousands of Mississippians that are in the desert somewhere. I was in Kuwait in October to get them to vote for the Senate seat, and we had, I guess, probably 4,500 Mississippians. They were in 11 countries in that one brigade. So I was pretty impressed with all the work that they do, and it's dangerous. So get in your truck, take 5 minutes, it's not going to be crowded, and go cast a ballot.
That's very good. Whenever the military people vote, do they vote by absentee over, like,
Very interesting about that. When I came on, Secretary Clark had started this, and I picked it up. We allow electronic voting. So when overseas people, like when I was in Kuwait, they can actually log on. They get the ballot from the Union County Circuit Clerk. They will send it to them. They fill it in and send it back electronically. So they can vote instantaneously, really, from anywhere in the world. You know, when they're in sand dunes and they're all over Afghanistan or wherever, they never have to miss a vote. And so we work particularly hard. I went about 8 or 10 years ago. I went to Afghanistan, Iraq when the war was going on, Kuwait, and met with all of these servicemen and women on casting their ballot. And we keep upgrading our system to where they can vote electronically. I think that's really, really important. They may be out of the country defending our country, but they don't need to be out of the ballot box.
that is very interesting. And now you're going to leave the Secretary of State office and you're trying for something else.
I know, it's bittersweet, I think. I got the nicest compliment. I'll tell you, I didn't tell anybody else, but got the nicest compliment the other day. One of our assistant secretaries of state said, I said, well, you know, guys, I'm going to be going in January. She said, yeah, we feel like our father's leaving the family. And I thought, that's the nicest thing anybody said to me. In politics, you're usually a contact sport, so it's usually not like that. Right. So I thought that was really nice. The reason, though, is I've done what I told them I'd do. We've revised the business laws. We've got voter ID without getting sued, the only state in the country that did that. I now have raised $1 billion for public education through 16 section land. It's up about $400 million from when I started. And our systems are working better. You can form an LLC in about a minute, $50. And so we've done the things you asked me to do. And I think once you've done that, if you're in public service, you ought to go do something else. And I've got some things I want to do. This past 3 years ago now, we passed the autism bill. We have 7 grandchildren. One of them is autistic. So my wife and I became very interested in autism, and we didn't have any autism insurance. So we were able to get that through the legislature, and they were very generous to do that. Now we have insurance coverage. And now we've started a process where we pay for teachers to go for an extra 3 hours to a community college online course. The only one in the country. Was designed here in Mississippi, something for us to be proud of. And our teachers are taking that course and going back into the classroom to teach special kids. And those people, the ones that teach special education, are really just saints, actually. I mean, the work that they do, the patience that they exhibit, the love that they give for those children is unparalleled. Other than a mother, I mean, those are phenomenal. So we want to make sure this next time you'll see us funding pre-K everywhere in the state. You'll see us funding special education. It's very important to me and a part of the MAP formula, so it'll be fully funded this next year. You'll see teachers get pay raises every year. You know, we don't need to do it just once a year. They deserve the dollars, but they really also deserve the respect that they get for being on literally the front line of educating our children. So there'll be a lot of things I think that'll be different and hopefully better.
Cool. Whenever the people think of lieutenant governor and governor, they really don't know the difference. They think one's in the head or the other, but there is a difference between the two offices. There
is. Lieutenant governor is unusual in that he or she, and we've had several she's, are both an executive branch and the legislative branch. It's the only office like that. So when we run the Senate, you know, the lieutenant governor gets his power from the Rules Committee at the very start of the session. The lieutenant governor is an exceptionally powerful position in Mississippi. That and the speaker are the two people who can make things change or not change, depending on what their interests are. My interests are in education. I want career training and technical training. I want to increase that. You'll see us working with community colleges a lot. Yeah, we're about health care. We need regional health care. They got a great hospital here, and we want to make sure that those survive. And so we've got a number of different issues. The infrastructure issue, we need the 4-lane to go all the way to Ripley, and I don't buy into the fact that we can't build any new highways. So I think you'll see a good bit of difference in maybe what it's been.
Thank you so much for talking with me.
Great to see you, Evelyn. Thank you for taking the time to visit.
currently serving as a brigadier general. In Congress, he serves on the House Armed Services Committee and serves as the ranking member of the Military Personnel Subcommittee. He also serves on the House Agriculture Committee and the House Small Business Committee. It is my pleasure to welcome back Trent Kelly.
That's one of the best introductions I've had, so thank you so much. Wow, it's an honor to be here, and to see this crowd is humbling, and we really appreciate what you've done here in Union County and with the Union County Republican Women and all the other counties that surround. It's important. The first thing I want to remind everyone is if you didn't vote during the primary, you can still vote as long as you're registered. So go vote in the runoff, and you can vote in the Republican primary if you didn't vote. If you voted in the Republican primary, you can vote in the Republican runoff. If you, however, voted in the Democratic primary, you cannot vote in the Republican primary, in the runoff. You cannot. That's the only thing. But if you didn't vote or you voted Republican, please go to the polls. And I want to give you just a little bit. I think sometimes people take for granted our privilege and our right to vote. I was in Iraq on January the 30th of 2005. I had rockets going off over our heads, going into Baghdad, screaming into polling sites. There were signs tacked on telephone poles in the place they call the Triangle of Death, about 30 miles south, about 30 kilometers, not miles, 30 kilometers south of Baghdad. And I was on the radio. I was with the battalion commander there. The posters on the telephone poles told families, if you vote, we will kill you and all your family. If you vote, and they don't have the election process. They don't get to go do an electronic or to check a box. They had to stick their finger in purple paint. And they had to put it on the ballot when they did it. And guess what? It stayed there. It was permanent ink. It stayed there for like 2 weeks. So at the threat of that, they had a higher turnout than we will have tomorrow in Mississippi. At the threat of death, not just to them, but them and their family, in their very first Democratic election, I was privileged. And there were literally rockets going off over our heads, shooting into Baghdad. They weren't shooting at us. They were shooting over us, shooting into Baghdad. And we called the brigade commander up there and said, how's it affecting the voting? They had suicide bombers. They had rockets coming in. And he said, the only difference is before they vote, they spit on the bodies of the suicide bombers. Think about that. And we got people who will be too lazy and will find some excuse not to make it to the polls. So please go to the polls tomorrow. The other thing I'll say, the days of saying, I'm a Republican, but I'm running as a Democrat, they're done, guys. And they are. When I ran in 2011 for district attorney as a Republican, I had a county. It wasn't Union. It wasn't in my district. And they told me, they said, man, why are you running as a Republican? Because everybody's going to vote in the Democratic primary. And so you're not going to, if they vote for you, they're not going to get to vote for the sheriff. And guess what I told them? You're not going to get to vote between Phil Bryant and Dave Dennis and whoever else, Mr. Holliday that was in that race from down on the Gulf Coast. Guess what? The folks who voted in the Democratic primary 3 weeks ago, they're not going to get to decide who is our next governor. They're not going to get to decide who our next attorney general is. They're not going to get to decide who our transportation commissioner is. So let's flip that around. And it's different. I'm going to tell you, you can't do that. You got to live with the folks I live with in D.C. Well, I don't live with them. I live in the same town. It's close enough. Trust me, I'm glad to be home. But there is a difference in what we believe. There is a difference in the values that we represent. And there is no way that I can align myself with someone who believes completely different from me, even on paper. The days of doing it on paper and doing one thing and saying another, they're gone, guys. And we have to hold people accountable. If you want to be a member of the party that is pro-life, then you need to be a member of that party. Because you either are or you aren't. And it's sad to me that we've gone where we are, but that's just the way it is. You're either pro-life or you're not. Trust me, on the floor up there, it matters how you vote. Immigration. You know, that is the party supposedly of the Democratic Party, right? Well, let me tell you how many bills they brought to the floor this year on immigration. 0. Let me tell you how many hearings. That's in the Judiciary Committee. Y'all have all seen Jerry Nadler on TV, hadn't you? Grilling Mueller, something that's already gone and decided, and there is no thing. You've seen him bringing in witnesses to testify, talking about impeaching the president. They've not had one hearing on immigration, yet it's a crisis, which at first they said was not even a crisis. They said it was a made-up crisis, and then they changed their mind and said it is a crisis. They've had not one hearing, not one hearing. So you can complain. They don't want a solution. They want to run on the issue, but they don't want to solve the issue. I have been to the border. I've been to El Paso. I've been inside those detention facilities. And they want to talk about how horrible they are and how they're separating families. I had a guy hit me up today coming out of a thing. What are you going to do about immigration? What do you think about separating families? Well, I can tell you the 8 years before President Trump, they were separating more families than they are now. And I didn't hear the complaints. And a lot of times, there are some separations, and I'm very compassionate about that. And I think we should limit those. But at the end of the day, guys, we're either a country of laws or we're not a country of laws. We're either going to enforce the laws in the state of Mississippi or we're a sanctuary state like San Francisco is a sanctuary city. Or Morton is a sanctuary city as opposed to just like San Francisco. You're either a country of laws or you're not. And they talk about the horrible living conditions and the food that they got. First of all, I can assure you they're trying not to see the good things that are going on down there. Our Border Patrol agents, they're heroes. And they get accosted, they get shot at, but they are doing the yeoman's work and they are taking care and they are compassionate people. Doesn't mean they don't enforce the law, but they are compassionate people. But the cages they talk about are the same cages that they were 8 years ago and 12 years ago, and they're not cages, guys. They have chain link fences around those things. They have warm blankets to put over them. They have water stacked in the corner. They have food. The temperature is nice. And I'll just tell you this. I spent a year in Iraq in 2005, and I spent a year in Iraq in 9 and 10. And they lived better than I lived for 2 full years of my life. And oh, by the way, my last baby was born, and he was 3 months old before I saw him. My wife built a house, worked a job, raised a teenager and a preteen child, carried a baby for 9 months, and had it. We were separated, and I didn't do anything wrong. Separation is part of it. I separate people when I was the prosecuting attorney, and they arrested a man driving with a 2-year-old in his back of his car, and he was drunk as a skunk. And they took him to jail. They called DHS, and they separated that family for a misdemeanor. DUI is a misdemeanor in most cases because it was unsafe for that child. We're either a country of laws. I don't like the laws like they are, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement. So just so you understand that, we need workers here, but they need to be here legally. And I'm going to introduce legislation when I get back, and hopefully somebody will steal this idea, and hopefully it'll be a Democrat, because then it has a chance of getting passed. But what I want to do is, if you're an employer and you have someone here who's undocumented, who is not working, or theirs is expired, all you got to do is send in and say they're working, we're putting them on the tax rolls, and they get a visa, a work visa to continue to work while they're on that. They don't get citizenship, they get a work visa. And as long as they're employed and as long as they're paying taxes and contributing to the community, they get to stay here. But when they lose that job, they've got 60 days to find another job, or you got to go back home and you lose your work visa. And that's only people who are employed. I mean, there's easy ways to do this, but they don't want solutions, they want problems. When we get back, one of the primary things we're going to work on is the National Defense Authorization Act. That's my wheelhouse. I'm a ranking member on the Military Personnel Committee. And just to tell you how worried they are about real issues and not politics, we deal with all the health care for the military. Our military hospitals, we don't have enough physicians and providers. Some of our hospitals are substandard, especially in foreign countries. The availability of local care is not there, like in southern Italy, for example. Northern Italy is okay, but southern Italy is not there. You know how many hearings we had on that? No, that's the primary jurisdiction of my committee, my subcommittee, of which I'm ranking member, and I begged for a hearing. You know how many hearings we had? 0. When we talk about pay raise, when we talk about how we're going to keep people in and what incentives to give them, we don't have hearings on that. But we did have them on transgender. We did have them on taking the Uniform Code of Military Justice and making it civilian and using it as a test thing. Those are the kind of things. They don't care about real issues. They care about political issues. And we've got to change that. Our president's doing a great job. I'm mad at our press right now. I am so mad at our press right now. Y'all think about this. They hate this president so bad that our press is going out there trying to tell you that our economy is bad because they want a recession. They would rather you be poor, they would rather this nation fail than for this president to get reelected in the press. Think about that. There are no signs of recession, or there's one sign, and there's a ton that say the economy is continuing to expand. But that, all you hear is a recession's coming, a recession's coming, a recession. They want to beat him up about trade with China. Well, I'm glad he's sticking to his guns. And I love my farmers, but if they really want to help my Mississippi farmers, let me tell you how you do that. They got this thing called the United States-Mexico-Canada Trade Agreement that has been ratified in Canada, it's been ratified in Mexico, and is sitting there waiting to be brought up on the House floor. And our Speaker will not bring it to the floor. I have begged. Do you know what that means for Mississippi? 3.2 billion, not a M, a B, 3.2 billion in exports that are sitting on the sidelines right now that our farmers could use that can't go because they refuse to give the president a win. I've asked them, why are you against it? What don't you like? Well, initially they said there was something with the labor practice in Mexico. So Mexico's House and Senate got together, passed a law, fixed what they said, and guess what? They had another problem then. They have no intention of bringing it for no other reason than our president wants it, and they refuse to give him a win because they think it helps him win next November. Guys, we can't operate like that. We have to bring that to the floor. It is good for America. And guess what? When Canada and Mexico fall, Japan, we're working with South Korea on trade agreements. China has to come to the table. But for all y'all who think we ought to just capitulate and he ought to cut a deal, whatever deal he can get with China, that's what Nixon did. And that's what Ford did, and that's what Carter did, and that's what Bush did, and that's what Obama did, and that's what the next Bush did. And China just kept getting worse, and they keep breaking the laws. And they are not going to play fair unless we hold their feet to the fire. And we have to, because right now, and they are about to collapse. Their economy cannot stand it. Ours can, because it is strong and it's going to continue to get stronger. And oh, by the way, when we get through with them, then we're going to talk to Macron or however you say that in France, who's so interested in our Iranian partners. And then we're going to get to them for their unfair trade practices. Guess what? World War II ended in 1945. And they don't get post-World War II benefits for us now for us to rebuild Europe. It's time for them to come to the table, somebody besides our great ally, Great Britain. And the Squad, are they as bad as they say? They're worse. I'm just telling you, anti-Semitic, and so they had this big deal about Netanyahu not allowing, Prime Minister Netanyahu not allowing them in Israel. Let me just tell you, the week that they wanted to go, 80 freshman members of the United States House of Representatives, both Democrat and Republicans, were in Israel. All 4 of those were invited, and they chose not to go because they did not want to go to Israel. What they wanted was some primetime TV. And they were not there for the benefit of Israel. So you can believe it or not, but just know at the same time frame they wanted to go, there were 80 other freshmen who were in Israel, and they were invited to that, but they only wanted the blurb. The press. They wanted to do that. Guys, we can't sustain that. It's an honor and privilege to serve y'all. But North Mississippi has a voice like we've never had before now because of the turnout we had in the Republican primary this time. Before that, we were probably 10-15% of the Republican voters in the state because they only worried about Hines, Rankin, Madison, the coast. Michael, you know that. But this time, we were over 25% of the Republicans who voted in the governor's election voted in my district. We are a player. You are a player. They have to care what New Albany thinks now. They have to care what Oxford thinks, not just DeSoto County. They have to care not just Lee County. They care what Itawamba County thinks. They care what Tippah County thinks. They care what Union County thinks because of the voters like you. And that's why I say you need to get your local elections and you need to tell them, if you want my vote, you need to be in the Republican primary. Because the days of saying I don't align with AOC or Tlaib or all those other folks or Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, yes you do. You're either in my primary or you're supporting what they're for. So thank you and God bless you and vote. And I'll take a few questions as long as we have time. So I think they want the population counts. That's why this census deal and the citizenship question is such a big deal. California wants to count all those illegals, and they want to use that to get more representatives. Okay, so if they get to count their illegals and they go to the numbers that they get for the number of representatives, right now each of us represents about 740,000. I represent 763, but that's why they want it, so they can get higher numbers. I don't think they really wanted the voters. Let me tell you, the Hispanic people, most of these people coming, we need to get them here legally because we have jobs. We're the lowest unemployment rate we've been in my lifetime. So we have skilled and unskilled labor that we need them working, but they need to be here legally. And they don't need to be a drain on the system. They need to be paying into that system. So there's a place, and I'll tell you, most of those folks, they work hard, okay? They pay their bills. They pay them on time. They do well in school. I think they're Republicans. They're pro-life. I think they're Republicans. So if we get them here legally, and I'm not talking about citizenship, so you don't get to vote. So I'm talking about just work visas. But I'll tell you, I think the majority of them, their moral values, more closely aligned with ours than theirs. They don't believe in just free stuff. It's the reason they're working. What we have to do is make sure that when people come here, there's a way to get here legally, and that if they're not here legally, we're a country of laws, you got to go back home. But you don't get citizenship if you're here illegally without going through the same process that the people who've done it the right way in front of you. You don't get a quick path there. You get the same path as everyone else. I mean, there's a lot of issues right now. I mean, gun control, there's so many, you know. I mean, a lot of these things, people say they sound good because the press is in on it with them. I mean, like red flag laws, everybody in here, if you're for red flag laws, raise your hand, and probably everybody will say, well, that sounds good. We're going to take them away from people who need them taken. So is PTSD count? I've been to war, and who gets to decide? If my wife gets mad at me, and she's probably got a lot of good reasons to, and she says I'm crazy, does that mean that they get to take my gun away now? So if it's applied right, but it's not as simple a solution as you see. And I've got to, and trust me, I've been on the receiving end of a gunfight without a gun. I've been fired at point blank range with an SKS. And I can just tell you, and that's not a joke, 2 years ago, guy tried to shoot me in the chest and kill me from 25 feet. But my beliefs on gun control have not changed. My only regret is that I didn't have something to return fire that day. I have not changed where I stand. We cannot take guns away from law-abiding citizens because I assure you the criminals will already have them, and they're already murder's against the law. And they weren't paying any attention to that part of the law. So we got to continue to understand. Free education and free health care, ask Cuba how that's working out. Ask Venezuela how that's working out. Ask Russia how that worked out before they collapsed. Guys, free health care and free education is right down the party line of communism. And free education and free health care equals no education and no health care. We do not need free education and free health care. What we need is reasonable education, and everyone should be offered the opportunity to do it, and we need health care that it's cheaper and that is between a doctor and a patient and not some bureaucrat in Washington, D.C.
I'm getting to talk with Mr. Trent Kelly here for a moment.
Absolutely. Well, it's always good to see you. And, we've done interviews and had fun, and you just always have a fun time when we get together, right?
We do. So what are you doing here tonight?
We're here with the Union County Republican Women. They're a huge group and hugely supportive of me, so we're going to be here and talk tonight and talk about a little bit what's going on in Washington and mostly listen. You know, we like to hear from them. They know more. They'll tell me what they want to hear about.
They set up your agenda and you just follow it.
Absolutely. When you find out when the Republican women tell you to do something, you best listen.
Have you gotten to go overseas lately?
I haven't been in a while. May go to Africa in the fall, but we'll see. And also in Europe and somewhere in the Middle East to see our military guys. Mine are always tied to where we have troops and or at least where we have strategic interests. You know, people back home are very supportive, and we try to listen. I have a large district staff. They stay everywhere. When we're home, we're in the district, just like we've been moving around in August again, like we always do. And so we feel like we've got our finger on the issues that are important to the people of Mississippi, and we continue to try to do that. We try to listen more than we talk.
How's the family?
They are wonderful. They are wonderful. My 8th grader just finished his first cross-country race, and he finished 9th, so top 10, so very proud of him. And then the other 2 are in school and doing well.
Good. Did you make it to the fair?
I made it for the opening weekend, and then after that I had to get back and get to work.
Yeah. Thank you so much for talking.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. Thank you so much.
The teachers in the room, I think it's time to settle down now, class. I believe I said it's time to settle down, class. See, y'all want to play. See, you might be able to fool around with your other teachers, but you ain't gonna fool around with me. I ain't want to mess with. And me personally, I ain't got the time for it. So I'm gonna need you to put up your phone. I'm gonna need you to stop smacking your gum. I'm gonna need you to stop looking the way you are, and then... Wait up! And everyone, please pay attention while we listen to the announcements.
Good morning, everybody. This is your principal, Joseph James Peter John Jr. As you all know, today is the last day of school for seniors before they graduate. And as such, crazy and random things always happen that come along with that. So people, please do not be alarmed if you happen to see an Easter bunny running around the hallways with his arms waving around in a circular motion. Mr. Tintoni and Mr. Spears are working their hardest to make sure that this bunny is safely removed off of the campus. And also, if there are any other random things that happen in the classroom, please do not be alarmed, and please ignore it and continue with your classes. All right?
All right.
Peace.
Now, like they said, we're not finna get distracted by anything else that's happening today. Okay? We still gonna do the classwork.
Can you do it simple, just like lemonade? Can you do it simple, just like lemonade? Can you do it simple, just like lemonade? Can you do it simple, just like lemonade?
Used to carry all the groceries in one trip. Hercules. Simply made it gone in one sip. Too much dip on my chip. Step on me.
Name on the board. All right, class. My name is Dr. Willie Leroy Jones III. I'm your substitute teacher. Miss Thompson couldn't be here today. She had something called what was it called? The art flu. Yes, that's what it was. Art fever. Which one? Every one of those. Anyway, I'll be filling in for today. But hey, just because it's the last day of school, don't mean y'all get to fool around me. I'm from the hood. I don't play. Now pay attention while I call the roll. Here we go. What's that say? David. Is David here?
Present.
Okay, I see you. Okay, that's good. Stay safe. Stay safe.
That's me.
It's an Oscar.
Yeah, actually, sir, my name is pronounced Oscar.
What? You gonna say your name Oscar? What kind of name is Oscar?
That's the name I was
Oscar.
given. That's the way it's pronounced.
I know what I'm saying. Oscar.
No, what?
Say it with me. Oscar.
Oscar. There. You happy?
Tell me something. Like Christopher.
Yeah, not to be rude or anything, Mr. Professor, Teacher, Sir, Dude, but my name is actually pronounced Christopher.
Correct me again. What you say? Christopher?
Yeah, Christopher.
No, not how you say Christopher. It's Christopher. It's how you say your name. All right, now I got a math problem I want you to solve. All right? Now don't interrupt me while I'm trying to do this math problem that I'm trying to show y'all. 5x plus 3CO2, which yields Shamon with the exclamation point. Now, children, this is called Michael Jackson's Law. Y'all need to write this down in your books. Michael Jackson's Law. I'm not gonna say that. Everyone, please get back to the problem, okay? Let's just get back to the problem. It's a great day. Y'all see the bunny rabbit running around here anywhere? Yes, sir. Oh, snap. Y'all got a broom or something? I see. All right. You see nothing. Continue normal class. I'll be right back. Where you at? Ain't no need to run it. Oh my gosh. It's a great day to be a bulldog. Have a good last day of school, everybody. Y'all go home. Have a good summer, you know. Enjoy yourself in college. I don't know. I gotta call the janitor. There's a body back there. I don't know what to do.
Be here, there. This way. Alright, I got you. Alright, okay.
What's up, guys? It's Caleb Bader, and I'm here with the greatly talented Tucker Shannon.
Thank you, Caleb. This week we have some great interviews. We were talking about the upcoming football season and the volleyball season.
Quick PSA, guys. We have the homecoming shirts available in the office. $15 for the short sleeve, $20 for the long sleeve, and they have to be turned in with your money and everything by August 30th, next Friday.
Also, guys, Tuck 2030 shirts are out there, $5. They're due August 26th. Take it by the office. Shirt.
Alright, I'm here with freshman football player Zach Clay. And Zach is an upcoming freshman this year, I'm in high school. Tell him how you feel about being a freshman this year.
Feels good. Finally made it to high school. Last 5 years waking up early until I get to college. And it's ready for football season to start.
How do y'all feel like not be able to be on the sideline with the varsity team this year?
I still like we're in middle school. So I could just stayed over there one more year and then came over here. But it's good either way.
Tell everybody what position you play and do you like that position or what?
I play slot receiver and I like it because you get to make plays while you're running.
And I have one more question. How many touchdowns are you going to score this season?
About 55.
Okay, I like that.
I'm Carolyn King, and this is Julianne Littlejohn, who plays volleyball. So how did your game Tuesday go?
We lost, unfortunately, but we played hard. I feel like there were a lot of things we could have done better, but we did play well. We worked hard. Just ready to get back in practice and get ready for next week.
Yes, so what games do y'all have this week?
We'll play Tisch County on Tuesday. We'll play there. And then we play Lafayette. We play Lafayette Thursday at home.
And be sure to bring out all your spirit items, and seniors, wear your senior jerseys because we're filming the homecoming video. But so how do y'all think y'all season will go?
I hope it will go well. We have a new coach this year, Coach Ashley Conley. She's great. We love her. And, we've done really well so far. So, yeah.
Do y'all see any improvement from last year?
Definitely. Lots of improvement.
Lots of improvement.
Alright guys, thank you for watching the video this week. Check us out every Thursday on YouTube when we're posting weekly, so make sure you tune in. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Tucker.
Thanks for watching the dog feed.
I know.
Thanks for watching.
I got you. No problem.